you, Richard? How you doing? Everything good?
It's fabulous. Is this what day? We're taping this on what day is this? I don't even remember. Wednesday.
They all run together.
They
So
all
what do
run
you got?
together. But hey, listen, I just want to say something.
Uh-huh.
And you can talk. I know you have an agenda today, and there's points you really want to talk about. But here's almost like one of those questions.
I want to hear it.
If the Steelers won the Super Bowl this year,
Okay.
would Keith Butler say and be on the public tour telling the world that Mike Tomlin calls the defenses? Do you
Probably
really think?
not.
Probably not.
No.
So
What did you
Keith,
make of all that? What did you make of it?
I think it's horrible. I don't think Keith Butler should be out there with that mantra. Man, retire in silence. Honestly.
Wow.
And, yeah. I mean, come on, seriously. If they won the Super Bowl, do you think he'd be saying this stuff?
No, you're saying take the trade secrets and the inside stuff to the grave and don't necessarily spill it.
But why would you do that? Why would you begrudge him? First of all, he knew the deal. He knew the deal when he took it. Dick LeBeau, they trained him, they kept him. Keith was going to leave a couple times, and they kept him by telling him that when Dick retires, which was imminent, that they would promote him to defensive coordinator. Listen, he watched it. And secondly, please don't compare to Dick LeBeau because he was a genius, or was Mike Tomlin the genius? Of course, if you listen to Keith Butler. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it because I think it was sour grapes. I think he didn't want to take any responsibility. And I felt like he was just pointing a finger, and I don't like that.
Well, that's the one part. I absolutely agree with you in that regard.
Yeah.
It's not like they surprised him with this. That was part of the tenets and part of the sort of the understanding with the job. If you didn't like it, don't do it. Like,
right. Don't take
wasn't going to be.
And then don't do it until it doesn't work anymore and come out and complain about it.
Do you think, though, that Mike Tomlin needs to delegate power some?
I think Mike Tomlin needs to do whatever Mike Tomlin wants. He's the head coach. I think that if Mike Tomlin feels like he needs to, then he should. And if he doesn't feel like he needs to, he shouldn't. But, at the end of the day, he's responsible for everything that happens on that team, whether he actually does it or not. And the people that I have here. John Hustleton's here. Great guy. Depend on John for everything. He's the general manager. I have other general managers. If I walk on one of their dealership lots and I see something wrong, I don't call the lot attendant. I call John because he's the guy in charge. And so it all starts and ends with the chain of command. But I think, to your point, Mike Tomlin does what he thinks as the leader of this team needs done.
So Mike Tomlin essentially is the guy in the cowboy hat with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I can't wait to tell him that. Yeah. He'd be the guy in the cowboy hat. But you know what? I mean, everything's great as long as there's success for everybody. And then when people start to find flaws for 200-yard rushing games, it almost looks like personnel issues. Maybe it's not.
Those are all very fair points. The problem, this isn't a problem. The situation with Keith Butler is I honestly don't think there was any malice. I think he's just one of those old school down home guys that's, when asked an honest question, he gives an honest answer. And sometimes it's okay to just not answer anything, I don't think he was
sure
trying to.
I'm not even sure, but maybe there wasn't malice. But it was, why would you say it?
I can't even.
Why wouldn't you just say, you know what? It was my time. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mike Tomlin. Thank you, Steelers. Well, why did we have to go into Mike Tomlin calls the defenses?
Can I be perfectly frank with you? And that's what this forum's for. I can't even believe he agreed to the interview.
I couldn't either. I mean, wait, you interviewed him, didn't you?
No, it was our station, but it was not us. It was in the afternoon. I saw it and was like, what in the world does he have to gain by doing this? Or does anybody have to gain? It's just exposing the dirty laundry of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I guess. But hey, for my field and for my business, it's gold. But it was kind of like family secrets were let out, and they didn't need to be.
Yeah, what else did you hear that surprised you?
Well, now that Dick LeBeau got stripped of play calling duties for the most part. That surprised me.
Do you believe that?
Well, if you put the puzzle pieces together and why he hastily sort of went off to Tennessee and why it was like that, I don't know if I believe fully got stripped of play calling duties, but I think that maybe they scaled back what his role was, and he didn't like it.
How many years did he have, LeBeau?
Here in Pittsburgh, he had 2 different stints.
Yeah, but how many years did Mike Tomlin have LeBeau?
Oh, 6.
Did he have him 6?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Mike's been here how many years? 2005?
Right.
2005. So he's been here 16
15 years. Yeah, this would be 16.
And so LeBeau was only here 6, 7?
Maybe 7 or 8. Yeah. So
I don't know. I mean, we hailed Dick LeBeau as one of the greatest defensive coordinators ever, anywhere. We hail him as that. We revere him as that. Mike Tomlin has said that. So it'd be it's just hard for me to understand all that. It really is. And I can remember going to dinner with Keith Butler and Ken Wisenhunt. And Butler used to tease Wisenhunt all the time. So that was the group. It was Butler, Ken Wisenhunt, and Bruce Arians.
Wow.
We went to dinner at Atria's, and it was so funny to watch and hear Keith Butler tease Wisenhunt all the time and says, I'm going to crush you. I'm just going to keep throwing trap passes. I'm going to trap pass you until you die. And it was funny. I didn't even know what the hell a trap pass was. But guess what he did? Trap pass. First play, trap pass. He said, I'm telling you, trap pass.
Well, now that and you got much more on your plate, may I interject one question here for you before you get back to your question?
My plate's empty.
We were just talking about defense. Now, everybody is talking about how this past weekend was like the greatest weekend in football history, and how that they thought maybe that Kansas City game and Buffalo game was the greatest game they've ever seen. I tend to agree, but I will offer a devil's advocate argument. You being a former linebacker could answer this, right? Do you think that you can consider something the greatest game ever played when there was virtually no defense played? When there were so many points in the final couple minutes?
Well, I think a few things to that. I can go both ways on that. I can tell you that where was the defense? I can tell you that, man, did it make me realize
anybody.
Just how important. I mean, that quarterback position. I mean, there were people that weren't even open. So defense, yes. Where was the defense? Greatest game. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty exciting from a fan perspective. It was a pretty good game. Then they talk about, the overtime rules, and I don't really want to talk about the overtime rules.
No, it's boring to me.
Yeah, and that's for a different day, and whether they're not, doesn't matter. It is what it is. So I don't talk about that. But man, I got to tell you, both of those quarterbacks are just really badass. They really are, and they just really are. And 17 seconds, what Patrick Mahomes did in 17 seconds was pretty incredible, and they knew it was coming. So it was pretty incredible to watch that. And yes, defense, where was it? But man, I just have to tell you, I don't know how you could defend all that, really.
Well, here's a question that I have. When I look at Buffalo's quarterback, Kansas City's quarterback, Cincinnati's quarterback, and the Chargers quarterback, it feels like they're playing in a different league than anything that the Steelers are going to offer in the next little bit here.
Except, as I said, and I believe this, we are a quarterback away from that. Now, given the offensive line comes together, we are one quarterback away from that. We have, if you re-sign Juju, you have Juju, if used properly, man. He's unbelievable. Don't you remember the first 2 years he was here? Slant across the middle, gone 70 yards. Did it twice. Where is that? So you've got Juju, you've got Chase Claypool, you've got Deontay. Yeah, I mean, did he miss some balls? Man, so did some of the other great guys. The San Francisco guy missed a couple balls, but they're great players, and they can be playmakers. You've got so much talent at the special skills positions. You really do. So a quarterback, and my quarterback still in my mind again, based on today only. When I watched those games, and I watched all of them, I keep going back to Kenny Pickett.
Wow. See, I wait. I don't draft. I make quarterback the last thing. I've told you this. I go and I stabilize the line, both sides of the line. And I have little birdies telling me that I think that Stephon Tuitt is leaning toward never playing again, by the way. So you're going to have to stabilize playing or stabilize that defensive line.
Yeah, I didn't actually like Keith Butler's comments about Stephon either. I think he was talking out of school. I don't think he should have done that. I think that Stephon Tuitt, I mean, man, just think about what that guy's gone through.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I don't think Keith Butler should have addressed it. And so that said, the only other, so Deshaun Watson to me would be the quarterback. He'd be the guy. I mean, it's either him or Kenny Pickett, but I think they're both in that caliber of player. I really do. I know Mason wants it and he deserves a shot, but will he get a shot? I don't know. I do not think there's any way in the world we take the field in preseason game 1 with anybody we have on the roster right now.
Wow. See, I like that. I like that take. I like that gambler take. Go out and try to reinvent an offense. I just wonder, and you've been around this organization, you've seen this organization, you've followed it your whole life. Do you think that they step out of their comfort zone and take a risk like that? Yes, this is you and I talking, but then you get into, will the Steelers do what you and I want? And I just don't think so.
It's really hard and to say that because I keep waiting for that to happen in a lot of areas. In a lot of areas, I want to see that. Show me the new blood. Show me the youth, man. Let's go. Mike Tomlin's not old, for God's sake. He's a kid compared to me. But the rest of it, the administration, even the decision making, the personnel choices. If you do the same old thing, if you continue to do the same thing, all you will get is what you have. That's it. And if you go ahead and promote this defensive coordinator that they're talking about, how could you do that? Don't you usually promote out of success? Somebody's done a great job, you reward them with a promotion.
Well, and let me run this one by you.
And there's no success on any part of that.
Let's say you're Terrell Austin and you heard what Keith Butler just said on the radio, right? And said, I don't make the play calls. Does somebody want to then be the defensive coordinator knowing that they don't make the play calls? Do you think that would inhibit somebody from taking that position?
Well, again, I think it would be a part of a negotiation that would say, I will take it. But, if I'm going to, it's really simple. It's what I say all the time. If I hire a general manager, and basically my analogy is, and your son loves this, right? The stock cars, right? Mm-hmm. So if you put somebody in that stock car and you tell them, okay, I want you to win this race, and your son's in there, he's ready to roll, and he's going to win that race. But then I say, oh, and by the way, I want you to be in the passenger seat. You don't get to drive the car.
Right.
Ain't happening. Can't win. Can't win. If you're going to ask somebody to win the race, put them in the driver's seat and let them win. Right?
Oh, I agree, but I don't think Mike Tomlin will do that. I don't think he'll do that.
Well, to that point, I remember because James Harrison and I are kind of friends, not kind of friends. He did sign a jersey to me. It says, to the craziest man I've ever known. So what's that say? If James
yeah, right.
But yeah, scary. But James Harrison said that to me a long time ago that Mike is responsible for calling most of the defensive plays. So whether it's true or whether it's not, who cares? Right? Who cares? I mean, if I'm calling the plays and I'm going to call you, I'm going to say, Colin, you're the defensive coordinator. Hey, what do you think of this? And you have an opportunity to say, Mike, that won't work. Don't do that. Let's not do that. So again, it's back to who cares.
Well, let me ask you before we get moving today and before we're done with this.
Oh, it sounds like we're moving all just fine.
We are. We're moving good. The success that Cincinnati's having,
yep.
Are you afraid that it's afraid for the Steelers' sake that it's sustained success because they found the quarterback and seemingly the receiver, and all they got to do is find one offensive lineman, and they might end up, Richard, being good for a decade? I'm a little bit afraid. I'm going to be frank with you. I'm a little bit afraid they found the right people.
So the thing is, again, I only control the controllables. I could care less about Cincinnati. I don't care if they're good. I don't care if they're bad. I don't care. I care about us. I care what we do. And if we do and take care of our own house and do the things that we can do, Cincinnati's irrelevant. So is
Yeah.
Baltimore. So is Cleveland. None of it matters because we can't control what they do. We can only control what we do. And those controllables are in our power. And so if we do not win, it's not because Cincinnati's good. It's because we were bad.
That's like something you put on the back of a T-shirt, the rah rah team up. You're unbelievable. You're like, it's like Plato, Nostradamus, Bazzy. It's incredible the stuff you come up with.
No, man, I'm old. It's taken me a long time to develop these thoughts.
Well, that's what like people say. There's no new adages. Every adage you hear is old. You never hear an adage that's new. And so I like it. But you come up with these motivational things, and I think credos and words to live by, that's not maybe see, I get too worried about external factors, and that's one thing you've taught me. Stop worrying about the external factors. Take care of your house and your stuff, and all that other stuff takes care of itself.
It really does. I mean, it really does. If you develop the right processes, the right people, and you do take care of everything internally, I mean, man, all you can do is go out and play your heart out. And if it doesn't work, then the other team's just a better team. But that is not possible. I would not accept that. I would not ever accept that. We have too much talent. Mike Tomlin is, to me, one of the very elite coaches to ever coach. Okay. Now, in the right circumstance. Now, what if Mike Tomlin said, hey, you know what? Hey, I didn't do this because Mr. Rooney didn't want me to do it. I didn't let Ben Roethlisberger retire because Mr. Rooney didn't want it. So he's not out there doing that. He's not pointing fingers. Right. He's the guy. He took control. He took ownership. I'm the guy. And so that goes back to the Keith Butler thing. I'm still a little irritated with that. But
that's stuck in your craw, this Keith Butler stuff, huh?
Yeah, it bothered me. It did. It bothered me. Because that's just an excuse. I mean, is it Mike Tomlin's play calls that caused 4 200-yard games? When's the last time that happened? 4 200-yard games in a season against us. I can't. I mean, did it ever happen?
I remember when it was a big thing, honestly, when I was growing up, if an opposing rushing game had 100 yards.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, because we had a streak. We had a long streak of games that nobody rushed for 100 yards against us.
It was a big thing if you were able, and if a single back by himself had 100 yards, it was like the biggest thing in the world. It never happened. But anyway, man, you make me feel better all the time. You do. You're better than yoga. You make me center in on myself, but I don't have to sit on the floor and stretch around it all. It's pretty good stuff.
No, seriously though. So think about it. Think about this. How many competitors in your business that do what you do and have a radio show? 5, 6?
Yeah.
4 to 6?
Yeah. About 10 or so at most in the city, right?
So you're really good at it. But
I'd like to think so. Yeah.
You really are. And you're unique. You're your own person. Do you really care what the other 4 guys are talking about?
Come to think of it, no. So you're probably right about this.
Right. So you don't care what they're talking about. You don't care in what context. You don't care what their style is. You don't care anything about it. Nothing. You're just developing you in your style on your show.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the point here is this with Mike Tomlin, what you're saying about the Steelers and everything with you. All these skills are translatable and they travel. And that's we forget that you can apply that to a football team. I think we do.
When you forget it, I'd like you to just go to the Vince Lombardi poster. And it's winning is everything. You've probably got that
right.
somewhere at home, right? Do you have that poster?
When I was little, not now.
Yeah,
I'm 45 years old. I don't have posters on my wall anymore, Richard.
Read it again, though. Read it again. Winning is not a sometime thing. It's an all the time thing, right?
Lombardi, Plato, Nostradamus, Bazzy.
I'm telling you, man, I'm a disciple of Vince Lombardi.
It seems like it.
Yeah, I love Vince.
Oh, great stuff today. Great stuff today. I really enjoyed it. I learned. You forced me to to center in on myself again, Richard. I like it.
Well, you're the
Serious.
best. You're the best.
Thank you much. Great stuff. We will
Thank
chat again next week.
Just one final thing.
Let's hear
Very,
it.
very short, very simple.
Mhm.
Super Bowl winner is who?
The 49ers.
Oh, whoa. Really? Jimmy
Yeah.
G?
Deebo Samuel's in the defense. Yes.
Okay. I'm all about the Rams.
Okay. I don't mind it.
Okay. Let's go. We'll see.
All right. I like the
We're
49ers.
a couple weeks away from it, but let's see what happens.
All right. I will talk to you next week.
Thanks, Colin.